Welcome back to ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Still with me in the studio, Professor Bola Akinterinwa, Director General Bolytag Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. Modele Safara-Yusuf, veteran broadcaster, marketing communications consultant, and Arise News analyst. And Chike Ogeah, former commissioner for information at Delta State. Well, Chike Ogeah, let me come to you very quickly. You've not been around for a while. But today we have two guests, Dr. Reuben, who commented on the fuel supply situation in Nigeria, and also Chief Robert Clark, who discussed issues relating to the plan to establish more campuses for the Nigerian Law School, and also Executive Order 10, which had been nullified by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and finally, the politics of zoning, constitutionalism, and all of that in Nigeria. So let me start with you. What strikes you most in the two major conversations we've had today?
Well, I think it's the typical conundrum Nigeria always finds itself. Let's start with the first topic, which is obviously the most topical one now, which is about the adulterated fuel. Now we're in a situation where a country that is blessed with the kind of resources we have in terms of petroleum has to keep on importing this product. Now we have a situation in 2023 where those that have been given the responsibility of bringing in these products have brought in products that have destroyed the cars of many Nigerians, struggling Nigerians in such a hard time. And what makes it even more painful is that there's so much buck passing, nobody knows who is responsible for anything anymore. The Nnpc, who are the major custodians of everything petroleum in the country, names for oil companies and says these are our agents that we gave to bring these products in. All four of them over the week have taken out rejoinders to say, no, we are not involved. We didn't bring in adulterated fuel. So who brought in adulterated fuel? That is the problem. That question has still not been answered. Well, the president has called for a probe, which I think is welcome. Again, this tells us maybe we should constitutionally look at this role of the president being the minister of petroleum. Because really and truly speaking, the buck should end with the Minister of Petroleum in such a situation. And now, how do you go and hold a president with all the enormous powers of the president of Nigeria? You can't even sue him. But if we had a Minister of Petroleum who the buck ends with, we can hold him responsible for this. So once again, I think our Senate and the legislature should look at that situation where we should have a substantive Minister of Petroleum that is not the president going forward. I think we need to break from that because we need to hold people accountable and responsible for situations like this. So that's my take on that. It's a real pity that, like I said, a lot of ordinary people has had their cars destroyed, and we are just busy bantering over who is responsible, Nnpc, oil companies, presidency, whatever, Minister of State, and all of that. That's not good enough. That's not what we should be doing now at all. That is on that. On the other side of a second conundrum again, which is about the case of the law school, I remember when we were at the law school in the 80s, there was just one law school in Nigeria with the highest standards in Lagos. We had some of the best professors and lecturers there. Many of them, I'm sure, are late today. I remember them, Sir Kole Abayomi, Adubi, so many of them. The director, Ibironke, was an institution all to himself. And the profession had the highest of standards, comparable. I think we were maybe the best in the Commonwealth and one of the top 5 in the world as of the 80s. Even the law faculties, especially that of the principal 5 universities, Lagos, Ife, Zaria, Nsukka. I think Ibadan started lately. So I think maybe more of Benin and Jos as well.
Calabar.
That was much later, please. And now we are having, look at the situation we are being confronted with now. Like Chief Clark just said, do we want to have a situation where we have a law school in every state capital in Nigeria? Like you rightly said, Reuben, how is that kind of situation? How will it be funded? What will happen to the standards? Where will you get the lecturers from? So obviously that is not viable at all. And if you ask me, I very well agree with what the learned senior advocate of Nigeria said when he actually said that we should look at a situation where even though those 6 geopolitical zones were not anything constitutional, but it was one of the genius strokes of Abacha, whether we liked it or not, because I think he brought that thing into the Nigerian lexicon, these 6 geopolitical zones. And yes, because we have now increased the number of graduates and all of that, so I can imagine how many were we when we were in the law school, both the foreign students and the Nigerian students. We're all maybe under 200 or something at the law school. I think at a time there was a shift. So one shift in the morning and one in the afternoon. And that was fine. 100 and something and 100 and something. But now I'm sure our graduates must run into thousands. So the concept of a single law school, I think, is obviously outdated. There must be some kind of decentralization. But I think it should be done in such a way that we do not, compromise the value and the quality of the training that will be received. So, yes, we can have in the 6 geopolitical zones. But these ones of having, like you said, some traditional rulers and now fighting where it can be cited and all of that, then you can see, I think we are going to just compromise the standards. And that would be terrible because law, like medicine, are such critical professions that you need the highest of standards in whatever is going on there. That's my take on that. Then coming down to the zoning thing, which you talked about, just like the learned senior advocate also said, I tend to agree with everything in his submission. Anyway, he's a very brilliant and wise old man, as it were. And he said one thing, which I held on to. He says, watch, this zoning will destroy the politicians. And maybe that might be the outcome that Nigeria might need, so that we can all have a wake-up call. Because you see, it is very true that when it is convenient for a politician, he doesn't talk about zoning. When it is not convenient for him, he starts to shout. So it depends on where you're standing. It depends on, it is really, I find the whole thing so perplexing. Let's start with two scenarios that are playing out very well right now. I don't understand how any Yoruba man can be talking about being president in Nigeria now after Olusegun Obasanjo had been president for 8 years. Same way, I don't understand how any Northerner can be talking about being president of Nigeria after, in fact, Buhari has not even finished. So you see this kind of thing. But then, like we should all say again, because that is where we are at this point in time. But like Chief Clark said, Clinton took his vice president from his own state. When will we get to where merit will be what should determine, who governs Nigeria? Which is the ideal? Which is where we should be going to? I don't mind if Reuben and Prof Akinterinwa are president and vice president, because I trust and I know your intellect. And then you can make Modele your Minister of Information and everything else. I would know that you will deliver quality service to Nigerians. And that, I think, is the most important thing. But we keep missing that on the altar of zoning.
Well, I like your suggestion, Chike, as long as I'm the president and Prof is the vice president. And not the other way around. Okay, Modele, over to you. Your take on the issues on the table.
The more pressing issue, as we have identified, is the contamination of petroleum products. It's what's keeping us all on the roads these days. But the contamination of petroleum products has been a problem for years. This time it is methanol in PMS, but for years it's been sulfur in AGO or diesel. If you remember what they call the dirty diesel has been a problem for a long time. There's a lot of, and so when we are talking about PMS now, we should not take our eyes off that problem, which continues till today. A lot of the diesel, a lot of petroleum products that's imported into Africa generally is always either slightly off spec or completely off spec as the one we